In today's video lecture, we are going to talk about repeat sentence, which is the second item on speaking and writing section. We are going to discuss the strategies that will help you get maximum points on repeat sentence task. And since repeat sentence task involves both listening and speaking, the score will be divided across both these sections. So the strategies that I am about to show you will help you boost your score on both listening and speaking sections. So let's begin. Okay, so what is this task all about? As you can see on the screen, in this task you will listen to a sentence, you will listen to the recording of a sentence, and once you've heard it, once you've understood it, memorized it, you are supposed to repeat this sentence exactly as you've heard it. So this task may be perceived as easy prima facie by many of my viewers, but as many of the PT aspirants can vouch for, this is one of the most difficult tasks. And the reasons are quite clear because the kind of recordings that you will hear, they may be fast, they may be long, they may be in different accents such as the British accent, Australian accent or an American accent. So you have to be on your toes all the time, your focus has to be there, and you have to try and understand what the recording says. So all these things are very important, but we shall see more strategies in depth later in this video. So this is how the item screen looks like. You will have a status box that will tell you when to start recording. You can adjust the volume over here, and once you start recording, you will have around 15 seconds to complete this task. So let's see how the scoring of this particular item works. The scoring is based on 3 parameters, that is content, pronunciation and fluency. The content carries 3 points, pronunciation carries 5 points and fluency carries 5 points. So overall there are 13 points per question on this item type. And you should also know that the score is divided between speaking and listening. Now let's see how you are supposed to manage your time on this task. Once you hear the sentence, you are supposed to repeat the sentence within 15 seconds. And make sure that you keep speaking, because if you do not speak for 3 seconds, then the voice recorder will automatically close. And after those 3 seconds, after the voice recorder closes, no matter what you speak, it will not be recorded, it will not be counted for scoring. Now, as promised earlier, let me show you some of the best strategies in order to ace this task. Strategy number 1. You need to try and follow the exact same intonation of the sentence that you hear to whatever extent possible. This will definitely increase your score on fluency. Let's say if the sentence that you heard had a sorrowful or had a sad tone to it, then try to emulate that tone, try to copy the tone as far as possible. If it had a jovial tone to it, or if it had a tone that reeked of concern, then you are supposed to try and copy and follow that tone to whatever extent possible. This will definitely impact your fluency score in a big way. The second thing that you need to remember is that try to focus and come up with at least 50% of the sentence, because even if you do not remember the entire sentence, it is fine. Even if you remember only 50% of the sentence, you still get 2 points out of 3 points on the content parameter. That means you lose only 1 point. A lot of students are not aware about this and they panic a lot. They feel that even though they've remembered 50% of the sentence, they are not good at this particular question pattern. But friends, this is something that you need to keep in mind. Do not panic. Do not be in any state of worry. Even if you are able to reproduce 50% of the content that you heard, you will lose only 1 point on this question pattern. Now, when it comes to strategizing or planning for this task, there are 2 strategies that are generally prevalent. The first strategy, which I would say is a personal favorite of mine, and I recommend it to the viewers as well. You need to close your eyes, you need to relieve your mind of all the thoughts and just focus on the sentence that you are listening to. Try to listen to the sentence and understand whatever part of the sentence you are able to. Once you've done this, just relax, and whenever the recorder opens, try and repeat in your own words whatever you've heard or whatever you've grasped as a meaning of the sentence. You may not want to copy the exact same words, and trust me, I have practiced this time and again in my classroom lectures as well. When students focus on the meaning of the sentence rather than the words, then their retention is better and they are able to produce at least 70 to 80% of the content from the sentence. So this is a foolproof strategy. This is one of those strategies which always works, and I recommend the listeners to follow this strategy only. Well, there's another strategy as well. Let's say if you are a very basic learner of English language and still you want to do good on PT, then there is another strategy, but let me remind you, this is a little risky one. In this strategy, a student tries to remember some initial part of the sentence, maybe 2 or 3 words, and quickly writes down on his or her scratch pad the remaining part of the sentence. So you remember 2 to 3 words in the beginning and you write down 2 to 3 words in the end. So likewise, you'll be able to reproduce at least 50% of the content. But let me tell you, this is a risky strategy because sometimes it so happens that in order to follow this strategy, you have to focus on the words and not the meaning of the sentence. And sometimes the pronunciations may not be clear to you, and in that state, you may not be able to write it down. Anxiety can take over you, and you will not be able to attempt that task at all, which means you do not get any point on that. See, you have to remember one thing, that content plays a major role in the scoring of entire PT. If you get a 0 on the content, then you cannot get any score from any other scoring parameter. It's a straight 0 out of 13 on this task, because we are talking about repeat sentence, and on any other task the same thing is true, that if you get 0 on content, there's no further scoring, you get overall 0. So you have to keep this in mind. At least some part of the sentence you have to try and reproduce, and that will come only if you try, listen to the sentence, understand it, and then try to speak the sentence in your own words. So that is the strategy that I would recommend. As is true for all the speaking tasks, try to take a deep breath before you start speaking so that your breath does not break in between. And it is a personal call after attempting the sentence. Let's say you are left with a few seconds on the timer. It's up to you whether you want to wait around for 3 seconds and let the recorder close automatically, or once you've attempted, just after 1 or 2 seconds, just press the next button. It's an entirely personal call and it does not affect the scoring in any way. Okay friends, so let us take 2 or 3 practice questions and put the strategies that we just talked about into practice. But before we start practicing, let me make one thing clear, that before you walk into that examination, make sure that you have crystallized and you have finalized upon a particular strategy. Do not go into the exam center with confusion in mind, whether to use strategy 1 or to use strategy 2. Pick a strategy, follow that strategy in your practice, and do not waver from that strategy. I've seen this happening a number of times, that students are not clear in their mind, students are confused, and when they start attempting the repeat sentence task, their mind lingers over this fact whether to use strategy 1 or strategy 2. So do not stay in this dilemma. Go in with a clear head. As recommended, try and use strategy 1, and just whatever questions you do at home, whatever questions you're doing in your classroom, try to practice them with that particular set strategy only. So decide a strategy now, try to follow that strategy in the questions that follow, and then I'm going to provide you with the model responses to those questions as well. So Let's see.
America has adopted coffee culture since 1960s.
I think it's really difficult for an Englishman to imitate a real British accent.
So friends, I hope you've enjoyed today's lecture. That's it for today from my side. Thank you so much.